Sacred architecture. Although there is no evidence the Templars were involved in the construction of the Gothic cathedrals, their patron Saint Bernard of Clairvaux and the Cistercians, as well as other orders, especially the Cluniacs, played a central role in the rapid spread of the architectural style. 13. The Champagne fairs where the Templars played a central role were also important in the spread and exchange of cultural influences. The first appearance of Gothic architecture in Italy was the result of merchants from Siena rebuilding their houses in the northern style. 14. The Templars managed a large economic infrastructure throughout the Christian world, innovating financial techniques that were an early form of banking, and building fortifications across Europe and the Holy Land. The Templars acquired large tracts of land, both in Europe and the Middle East. They bought and managed farms and vineyards. They were involved in manufacturing, import and export, and had their own fleet of ships. At one point, they even owned the entire island of Cyprus. The Templars arguably qualified as the world's first multinational corporation. 15. The Templars also built massive stone cathedrals and castles. In these projects, the Templars relied heavily on the skills and knowledge of the Jewish Kabbalists. According to Marcia Keith Scutchard, in Restoring the Temple of Vision, the Templars adopted the Second Temple mysticism that would later feature in Freemasonry, principally from three leading Jewish Kabbalists from Spain, Solomon ibn Gabaral, Abraham Bar Haya and his student Rabbi Abraham ibn Ezra were the leading influences behind the mystical tendencies of the Ashkenazi Hasidim. 16. Abraham Bar Haya was given high official status by the Templars when they came to Spain to fight a crusade against the Muslims. 17. According to Scutchard, Jewish building guilds were instrumental in transmitting the symbolic and mystical traditions of the synagogue and temple to the Christian West. Mark Wischnitzer has argued that Jewish craftsmen brought the idea of the guild from the Near East and that Jewish guilds played a key role in the transmission of crafts within the Byzantine Empire. 18. Throughout the Islamic world, where there was much mixing of guilds between Arabs and Jews, Muslim artisans drew upon the mystery traditions of the Jewish guilds. The Sufi mystics of Islam assimilated Merkaba meditation techniques and Solomon temple mysticism into their own fraternities. The earliest surviving description of Muslim guilds is found among the Brethren of Sincerity, who were an important source of inspiration for much of Sufi tradition, as well as Jewish scholars of Kabbalah. 19. Over the centuries, the Merkaba texts began to identify the microcosmic man with the microcosmic throne and temple. The mystical numerology and geometry of the Merkaba scrolls reached their peak in the Sefer Yetzirah, which is replete with architectural and Masonic imagery. But in the Sefer Yetzirah, the emphasis is on building the supernal temple through mathematical linguistic magical manipulations. 20. Thus, in the Sefer Yetzirah, the adept undertakes a Masonic process of letter combination, meditation, and visualization, where the letters and words serve as building blocks. According to Moshe Idel, letters are regarded as stones, as full-fledged entities, as components intended to build up an edifice of words to serve as a temple for God and a place of encountering Him for the mystic. 21. The Templars became immensely wealthy reputedly through some knowledge newly acquired. They managed a large economic infrastructure throughout the Christian world, innovating financial techniques that were an early form of banking, and building fortifications across Europe and the Holy Land. The time of the Templars coincided with the flourishing of Gothic architecture, in a style previously unknown to the West. Although there is no evidence the Templars had a role in their construction, a number of medieval guilds were, who in certain instances had interactions with the order. The primary guild involved in building the Gothic cathedrals were the stonemasons, who carried on their traditions orally. 22. This new style of architecture, a departure from Romanesque, in fact, was profoundly influenced by Islamic architecture, chiefly through Spanish examples, such as the Great Mosque at Córdoba and the Alhambra in Granada. The forerunner of the stained glass in the European cathedrals was the enameled and variegated varieties of Sidon, Tyre, and other Syrian cities, a survival of the ancient Phoenician industry. 23. The ribbed vault, the flying buttress, and the pointed arch, which marked its transition from Romanesque architecture, are all details which can be traced directly to the Islamic style. As well, the slightly splayed entranceways that began to appear in Islamic mosques are very prominent in Gothic architecture. Superimposed on Merkabah's architectural notion of the body of God is the symbolism of the throne and temple of Solomon, which according to Scutchard, would find its greatest architectural expression in the towering Gothic cathedrals built by Christian stonemasons, of which the Templars were the most famous example. 24. Appearing almost overnight, the new Gothic style spread rapidly, beginning in France in the 1130s, soon after the official recognition of the Templars. The flowering of the style began with the Abbotsuger in Benedictine Church of Saint Denis in Paris. The cathedrals of Senlis and Notre Dame in Paris followed after. In the 13th century, the style matured with the construction of the cathedrals of Chartres, Reims, Amiens, and Bourges. Other countries also adopted the style, spreading to England to produce Canterbury Cathedral and Westminster Abbey, and in Germany examples like Cologne and Regensburg, and in Spain, Burgos and Toledo.